I can't see how many people on the staff. How many are there?
There's 3 of us.
Why don't we introduce ourselves, I guess?
I'm Anna,
Hi, Anna.
creative lead.
What?
Anna's the creative lead.
Okay.
And then I'm Brian. I'm basically I'm kind of the chief cook and bottle washer and developer.
What does that mean?
I do whatever the other 2 aren't doing.
That's cool.
I'm Cameron, the level designer and just all around player advocate for the company.
And how'd you guys meet each other?
Well, we're actually a mom and pop and son shop. We're all family.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. Anna basically is the creative behind the company. Why don't you go ahead and give a little background on yourself?
Well, I spent 10 years doing freelance and just broke out into starting our own company, starting Tiny's Fury. We kind of decided we had all the abilities within our family, so we went ahead and started the company and started talking about having storylines and turn them into games, and then we went for it.
Yeah, so about a couple of years ago, we had some ideas that we wanted. Anna actually had an interest in doing movies originally, and obviously that's kind of a big undertaking. Not to mention, needs a lot of money, and also she wanted to get into more of the interactive part of things. I had some experience with online gaming. I did a lot of interactive work and some integration work with a lot of different studios who were putting out online games. And so we started developing a couple of ideas that we had and realized that we wanted to turn them into games. We wanted to move the pure entertainment aspect of a movie and combine it with the interactive aspect of games. We liked that a lot more and thought it was going to be a much better environment for our storylines. So we started working on the scripts and character development and realized that our ideas were really good, and we had one that started really taking off, which ultimately is the Katz storyline. There's not a whole lot of the story in Monster Cats right now, but there's quite a bit of it that will be coming up over the next year.
Do you mind telling me a little bit about that? Like the story behind it. I got some of it, but I mean, obviously there's more to it.
Yeah, not a lot of it pops out in Monster Cats. And you want to give a background, or Cameron?
Well, the storyline behind Monster Cats is that the regular house cats are being taken over by an evil cat charmer and turned into monster cats. And the plot behind Monster Cats is that we're not killing them or harming them per se as much as disappearing them to turn them back into, regular house cats.
Yeah, the Monster Cats themselves are basically all the annoying, stinky, evil aspects of cats that people, even people who like cats, don't like. So, the cat that misses the litter box, the cat that bangs against your leg when it wants your attention. These are characters that came out in Monster Cats. So, I mean, like, Ann talks about Frankencat is like the cat that headbutts you, but he does it in a caricatured way.
Well, it's really neat. I didn't know there was all that backstory to it. That's really cool. So, as you own cats?
Yeah. I think I have a love-hate relationship with cats myself. They're great when they behave, but when their claws come out, not so much. And of course, there's the toxic furball. That's my favorite.
That's what you find in the wee hours of the morning, and you're walking along, and good.
So we had dogs too, but right now we've got a couple cats.
Just a cat family.
One of which is the president of the company.
Oh, really?
That's Tiny.
Anna, you said you had worked on some freelance games before. Do you mind telling me which ones you worked on or experienced doing that?
Well, it was just small gigs around town here. Although I did some work, sizzle reel for Hollywood, B teams, just something for them to shop around to get a
the TV and stuff like that.
Yeah, to get a TV show. I worked on online interactive, just small gigs around town.
None of us, well, I've got some background in game development, but most of us are pretty much just starting out in that vein. Both Anna and Cameron are trained animators.
Well, you guys are in Texas. I don't know where in Texas you guys are.
We are in McKinney, Texas.
Which is a suburb of Dallas.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm guessing, are you guys Aggies or Longhorns?
Actually, 3 of our kids have gone to, or 2 of our kids have gone to A&M. So I guess we're by de facto Aggies. Yeah, both Anna and Cameron went to a local college that had a animation and modeling and game development, I guess
degree.
Degree, and graduated a couple of years ago from that.
I'm still working on it.
Cam's still working on it. He's in the University of Hard Knocks now. He's actually learning more probably by working with us than he would otherwise.
Tiny's Fury it's based on your cat and what she gets mad at you all the time. That's why you guys thought it'd be a good name for the company, or is there some sort of story behind it?
Well, when we were putting together the company, Tiny was just a kitten, and he's a Maine Coon, so they're naturally known to be relaxing or calm and relaxed. But he charged around the house like a crazed maniac for a while, and he would take on the other cats. He would take on bugs and that kind of thing, or there were some things that looked like they were imaginary, just running around and having fun. And
we kind of looked at that and said, the cool thing about it was that he didn't know what he couldn't do. He just knew he wanted to have fun and be a cat. And we kind of looked at that and said, there's some similarities to where we are right now. We don't know a lot. We've got a lot of experience. I've got 20 years in development. I've been a VP. But we realized as a team we didn't have a ton of experience in building games. So we knew there's a lot of big obstacles ahead of us. But we looked at this little cat and we're like, you know what? We've got skills, we've got energy, we're talented, and we want to have fun. So let's just go do this and not worry so much about what we don't know. Let's worry about what we do know and start putting some things together that we think other people will like.
Okay, so talking about the game now, when I started playing it, I felt it played a lot like Plants vs. Zombies, but I mean, I may be wrong with that completely. What was the basis of it? What were you guys trying to get inspiration from for the game?
Yes, we were very inspired by the work of George Fane and his team, but we found ourselves asking, what if? What if you were motivated to have a skirmish sort of moving back and forth with your defenses as opposed to your static defenses like you do have in PvZ? And what if there was a fine balance between using and preserving resources? That's where the wind and water come into play.
And we also started talking about, on the phone in particular, but on other platforms, you have a single screen map. What if the game expanded horizontally, or what if the game expanded vertically and you had to play across multiple screens at the same time? So we started thinking like, for example, in our game, Monster Cats, the last stage is really multiple floors. And you have to think in multiple dimensions and think about what's going on in different levels at the same time.
And how long did you guys spend in development of the game? You said Tiny's Fury has been around since Tiny was a kitten. I'm guessing she's an older cat now, so.
Yeah, we actually incorporated officially last year. So the company's been around really just for a year. But, we started working on storylines for not just Cats, but actually another episodic game that we have planned for the future. We started working on these ideas at the same time. And it took a while, obviously, to get the character development to the point where we felt like we really had a game. So we've been working together as a team for about 4 years. With respect to the game itself, we started Monster Cats last November. So it took us about 5 months from start to finish, calendar-wise. Mm-hmm. For the most part, though, Anne has been the only one of us that's been totally dedicated to the company. Cameron obviously is going to school. I've got another job that takes a lot of my time. So from calendar 4 or 5 months, I think, was the duration. And then Cameron can probably walk you through some of the, how we broke that down.
All right, so we spent about 8 weeks early on just exploring the different game types or game mechanics, coming up with subtle quirks that we wanted to put in the game. We ended up doing a lot of design testing, prototyping, card playing, stuff like that. We tried to put in things kind of like pop-up HUDs, various in-game assists, and different map sizes, but when it boiled down, some of the ideas, they just didn't work out, or we had to change them up so that they would fit. And so that's what ended up taking a lot of our time during those 8 weeks. We settled in on the unique aspects early on, and then just kind of decided to play around with what could and didn't work. About another 6 weeks we spent modeling the levels. We had some pretty detailed spreadsheets.
We were awash of spreadsheets. We had data coming out of our ears. Basically everything from how the defenses work to the character durations. We had shot density calculations. We had durability density calculations. We wanted the game to be comfortable for a casual player, but also be a little bit more of a challenge for somebody who could kind of pick up the style and maybe come up with their own strategies. So that's where the whole upside and the downside, the water being a limited resource, but also constraining you with respect to the top side, not let you just have unlimited water. So you got to kind of play within a fine line, and I think you mentioned in your review that as the game levels go on, it gets a little bit harder to do that. Just like your reaction saw that.
Yeah, it was a little difficult at times, but it was fun. All right, so what kind of programs did you guys use throughout the developmental stages?
So for the software, we use primarily, managed C#, obviously XNA. That's probably no big surprise there since it's a XBLIG and Windows Phone app. I guess for the creative guys here, they use Blender to model the animals and the towers and stuff, and Photoshop to create the textures and the sprite sheets and the maps. So pretty much the same stuff everybody else uses. We did obviously have some custom frameworks that we built. Our entire resource management system is custom built. We had some custom tools that we used for prototyping. Used Excel a lot for our spreadsheets.
As well as paper.
Yeah, a lot of paper. Yeah, we had paper. We still do. We have paper up everywhere.
So about the soundtrack, when I was playing it felt sort of like a remix of those little scary CDs you get for Halloween. What was your inspiration for the soundtrack and the sort of mood you guys were setting with the songs?
Well, I wanted to give the game a kind of a toon gothic feel, so the soundtrack kind of went along with that, but also I chose the soundtrack to match some of the cat's attitudes. So, like the main theme I saw Frankencat in that. He's a big cat, he walks tough, and the Funhouse theme is spooky, so any of the spooky characters like the ghost cat and that sort of thing.
Yeah, Frankencat, you can kind of see him headbanging with that tune.
And after most of the game is done, is there anything you're looking back you wish you could have improved on or something done differently in development?
Well, I think one thing we kind of thought about early on and would have liked to have had done was to be able to deploy it to other platforms in addition to Windows. Mm-hmm. I think going forward, we're definitely going to be targeting Android and some other platforms. We're not sure how the different titles will play out there. One of the titles that we have in development right now, we plan to put out in the fall, we're definitely going to, once it launches on Windows, we'll definitely look at putting it out on Android. And, there's some other aspects of the game. I don't think we're ever 100% satisfied with what we put out, but if we don't put it out, we'll never get it out. We really got to a point where when we play tested it, we were getting back consistently good responses from people saying, hey, they really loved it. They really liked the different aspects of it. People were picking up on the quirks that we had in the game. And when that happened, we said, okay, you know what? I think we're there. If we keep changing it, we might start to never get to sing out or start to tweak things that people don't care about or maybe mess up on things that they do like. So when we started getting a consistent feedback of, yeah, this is good, this is fun, I can't quite figure out this part, but this is really cool, or that sort of thing, we thought we were there.
You mentioned that you're looking at different venues or marketplaces for the phone to go on. Just on that note, I remember looking at data, like the Windows market is the third smallest. It's got like a 2% market share. Why did you guys finally decide? I think Android has about 50% market share. iPhone is somewhere in that 40% as well, and then Windows and Blueberries get like 2% each. Why did you guys decide to go with Windows and Xbox Live new games?
Well, you know, a lot of that actually had to do. There's actually probably two reasons. The one reason was we were initially targeting XBLIG, and we realized that we could port our code over to Windows a lot easier than we could port it to Android or iPhone. I've done some iPhone development in the past, and I realized it was going to be a fairly significant port for us, and we didn't want to bite off on that right away. So we said, well, let's shoot for XBLIG as our kind of the lead, and then let's go ahead and port to Windows Phone if we have time. And then the Windows was almost an immediate port, easy port, so we figured that'd be a no-brainer. Well, it really turned out that the Windows Phone port was ridiculously easy for us. So, you know, kudos to the XNA and the Windows Phone team guys for that. And then we said, well, let's get this out and let's see how people respond to it, and then we'll decide whether it deserves to go to another market. Obviously, if people don't really find it interesting, it doesn't make sense for us wasting our time doing that. So right now we're getting fairly good response, and, you know, we appreciate your attention to this as well. So, you know, our expectation now is that, you know, Android will probably be the next target that we shoot for, so that we can get a larger market. The other reason that we chose Windows Phone was, while it was really small, we anticipated that in a small market, maybe we have an opportunity to get a little bit more noise around us, focus on an environment that, yeah, maybe only has 2%, but of those 2%, there's some pretty passionate gamers out there. And people really, really love their Windows Phone. Windows Phone, I think unanimously, has been one of the highest user-approved phones out there, user-rated phones. I think Microsoft made a big deal of that with the Metro launch, saying that 7 of the 9 phones on Amazon were rated by their users as the highest. We all have, well, we don't. I have an iPhone, but the other two have Android and Windows phones, and they're very passionate about their phones too. So what we said was, you know, a lot of it has to do with what people are feeling comfortable about the device that they have. We don't want to go chase devices. We want to basically put products out there that people want to play.
What kind of Windows Phone you say you had?
Anne's got a Lumia 900.
I've heard great things about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Cameron, you got what, a Galaxy?
No, Galaxy S2.
Yeah, he's got a Galaxy S2. And then we also have, our daughter has, what she has? She's got like a Samsung.
Samsung, I have no
Focus?
idea.
The Focus, I think?
I don't know.
It was actually pretty cool because actually her phone has a much smaller screen than Anne's. Anne's has it's a gorgeous screen. I mean, the game just looks incredibly fantastic on the phones. But the really neat thing was we also play tested on the smaller phones, and it played equally well there. So we were actually pretty happy with the way that the Windows Phone our game looked on the Windows Phone of all different sizes. But yeah, so to your point, we're planning on bringing out the game on other platforms. We're probably going to start being a lot more, I guess, curious about what people want us to do. We're going to start using our blog and Facebook to start asking people where they want us to start directing our energy. If people start saying, get on the iPhone, we'll probably do that.
That'd probably be good for you guys to get more exposure. I'm sure you guys are doing well so far with indie games and the Windows Phone, but yeah, that'd be good for you guys to help it off the ground.
Yeah.
So back to Monster Kids, how'd you guys come up with the title? I remember earlier talking about just the sort of idea of being the things all people dislike about cats. But I was just wondering if there was any titles that got scrapped or how you guys finally came up on that.
The ultimate name of the title just kind of fit perfectly with the game. That was Monster Cats was the only title we ever thought of, and the initial or the spelling of the cats comes from the German Katzen, I think.
Cats.
For
Yeah.
cats. So.
Yeah. We wanted to be a little bit different than Monster Cats, so we changed it up a little bit.
And then the virtual box art you guys showed, there was the little eye with the claw marks through it. How did you guys come up with that as well?
Well, the claw marks is the original design for the Tiny Fury logo, and which incorporates our motto, Unleash the Fury. It goes back to Tiny being the inspiration for the name of the company. I plan on incorporating the claw mark into each title we produce, so the eye behind the claw mark is the monster looking at you, ready to come through and get you, I guess. I wanted to incorporate our studio brand kind of into all of our work.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, don't let anything get in your way, claw your way through whatever you have to.
And you guys were talking about your different ways you guys got into the working at Tiny's Fury and like your different aspects. Cameron and Anna, you said you guys were at the college getting the video game experience and degrees. For someone getting into the market, do you have any advice? Do you recommend going to a certain college and getting a degree, or do you feel it's better to go off like you guys did? Cameron, you said you're getting more experience now than you were actually getting your degree.
Well, I mean, I do think that it's important to get at least, some schooling as just sort of a ground level so that you can, just sort of get your feet wet, know what you're doing. First off, have someone there to just sort of look at your work and say, okay, you can do this way. If you do it this way, you can do it faster and it'll look better. It's just always good to have someone there who knows what they're doing, who knows what they're talking about, and can give you that instant feedback. So at least schooling would be good. Going all the way through wouldn't hurt. But if you do have like an opportunity like I had where you just have a team ready to go, I mean, it's kind of like you gotta choose which one you think is better. I mean, I thought that this was going to be a better idea to just sort of jump in with the team, help them out, and see where it goes.
Yeah, we actually have a friend that's Pam's age who's actually going all the way through a different college, and we'd obviously love to work with him at the end. But like Cameron said, I think everybody needs to make up their own mind as to where they are from a skill set perspective, and there's also a mindset change. Obviously, Cameron, you probably talk about that because he was the epitome of the gamer turned game designer.
A lot that the mind change has to do with is coming in at it from the eyes of a gamer into the eyes of a game designer, and just realize that there are a lot of things that you're gonna want to do with the game, might not work out, might make it better. You pretty much have to use your own intuition to figure out, is this gonna make the game better? Is it worth my time to, invest into this option? But when it really comes down to is that you are going to hit speed bumps and that it's very easy to have one or two things happen. Either one, getting discouraged after missing deadline after deadline and having to drag you down, or two, not hitting the deadlines and just being used to it, and then just miss each one after that and end up getting nothing done. It's very easy to have that happen, but if you hit that line right in the middle, then, I mean, you're pretty much golden.
Cameron, since you're making the transition from gamer to game designer, do you have any tips for anyone trying to get into the game development market?
Find whatever genre that you like, because odds are you're going to have a lot of experience in it. You're going to know what the consumer wants, and so that's going to give you a big head start on what game you're going to want to make, what sort of features it's going to have. Just kind of get an idea and just start running with it. And pretty much don't let anything hold you back.
Yeah, there's nothing that replaces that kind of intuition that you have as a designer. I don't necessarily think that somebody who isn't enjoying games could necessarily be a good game designer. Cameron's extremely passionate about games, and he mentioned earlier he's effectively our company's player advocate. When we go into a design session or we start doing play testing, he's the guy who's going to basically say, that is not what the gamer wants. That's not what the player's going to want. Or this is definitely what they want. We got to build this thing.
You developed for the Windows Phone and the Xbox, but each device, Android, iPhone, has a different specific software specifications. What device do you find is easiest to develop for? Obviously, for Chinese Fury, you worked with the Windows Phone and the Xbox, but you said, Brian, you also said you had worked with the iPhone and other phones. What console or market you find is easiest to develop for?
I think to get to the marketplace, the phones all across the board, Android, iPhone, and Windows Phone, are basically the easiest to obviously capitalize on. There's just huge markets out there. And for the most part, the certification processes are very similar, and the SDKs are fairly similar. So I think somebody who's just breaking out, the phone market is obviously a really good place to go. We had to choose one in order to get our focus on something and leverage what we did have. I mean, with the 3, I couldn't spend my time just importing code. So we were actually pretty darn surprised at how well the game worked on Windows Phone, which made us confident that we could to other platforms. I have experience with iPhone, so I know what to expect there. Played around a lot with the Android stuff, so I know what to do there. The XBLIG market actually looked a lot more enticing originally because it was a community-based or kind of community-based platform. The trick with that, of course, is that it's community-based, and all the certifications it's community based. So you're kind of at the mercy of getting people's attention and working with people to get them to be able to test your game. Just a case in point, we took about 2 months to get the game certified on XBLIG, and it took us 2 weeks to get it through Windows Phone certification. Same code base. It's just a matter of, with the Windows Phone, it's a dedicated pipeline, and you can pretty much expect it to get in between 5 to 10 days. With the market with the XBLIG, it really depends on how busy everybody else is and whether your game is interesting to them or not. I will say this, though, the XBLIG channel was a great place for us to play test. We got some fantastic input from people. I think without that, the game probably wouldn't be as good as it is.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. You were breaking up a little bit.
I was saying without the XBLIG, I don't think that the game would be as good as it was because we had such great play testing activity on it. Yeah, we're getting a little feedback, so I'm trying to adjust the speaker here.
No, you'd mentioned that you're working on 2 different titles. One you're working simultaneously. You were working on simultaneously with Monster Katz. Could you tell me maybe about that title?
We're actually working on 2 casual titles right now. Both of those will be out this fall. I guess we can talk about one of them. You want to talk about Alien Art? Okay. I guess I'll talk about Alien Art. So Alien Art is a turn-based card puzzle game where you basically are being recruited by the leader of the Universal Graffiti Underground. His name is Art, and he's an alien. And he has basically been using Earth and other Earth-like planets as his canvas for decades, and he's looking to recruit new people to the underground. So in the game, you basically compete against other people to be the first to create your crop circle in a kind of a turn-based card game. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a game of go fish with a puzzle. There's blocks in it where basically we have cows that you can teleport onto your opponent's field that will stop them from completing their pasture or their crop circle. It's a quirky little casual game that we came up with a while back, and there's not a whole lot of storyline to it, but we're going to put that out here this fall. The other one, I can't really talk about. It's pretty much
very social. It's
very social, very oh gosh, I don't know what to say about it. It's a hugely social play. But with respect to the episodic stuff that you talked about, obviously Katz has a lot more story that we want to come up with. So we're working on and have been working on the next game in that series, and it's called Lights Out. And basically it's a 3D immersive game. It's an immersive adventure game, basically, with a little bit of first-person shooter type aspect to it. That probably maybe December. I think we're shooting for December for that. And then our big episodic that was really one of the first things that we started talking about several years ago, we call it Project E, or Project Episodic. And it's a huge storyline. We're continuing to develop it. The aspect of it is kind of like a multi-faction tug-of-war. So if you... I'm sorry?
I didn't hear that. You said it was like tug-of-war?
Yeah, it's multi-faction tug-of-war. We really don't think anything is out there like this yet. I guess the closest thing you could think of would be if you put StarCraft into an environment where it wasn't not one-on-one or two-on-one, but like as many as you want on, one or two, or you could join alliances kind of on the fly. And the system itself basically maintains the tug-of-war status. So while it's going on, you may be completely owning your opponent, but the game may introduce opportunities for that opponent to either sabotage your defenses, or maybe you got them in a siege, and the game will give them an opportunity to break out if they can take advantage, if they're skilled enough. So it's not a situation where, Cameron's beating up on me and I suddenly beat up on him. It's more along the lines of the game giving an opportunity to escape and reassemble. So the whole aspect of the game is to continue the conflict. I'm in the process of building the engine for that. I call it adaptable real-time conflict.
And what platforms are you guys planning on releasing this on?
That's one of the reasons why we've kind of been holding back on that, is that we're kind of looking for the right game engine to do this on. With the progress of game engines like Unity, Sunburn, Havoc, Monogame, it looks like there's going to be a lot of opportunity for us to multi-platform the game. We kind of looking at Havoc a little bit. We're looking at Unity. We're
we're getting some experience with Sunburn. A couple of our game titles that we're working on now will probably come out on Sunburn. And then we're also looking at monogame. And what we really want to do is have it play on a console, on the desktop, and on the phone. And possibly a website as well.
All those sound like fun. The alien art sounds really interesting, though.
Yeah, we think Alien Art's going to be a lot of fun for people to play. It's got that social aspect, and it's got that fun, quirky thing that people will just have fun playing.
That was most of my questions. Do you guys have anything else you want to add, or anything else you feel is worth noting about Monster Cats or about Tiny's Fury?
I would really like to thank you for your time, and we're so glad you enjoyed the game, and hope the readers enjoy it too, and would like you to stay tuned and for the rest of what we have to offer at Tiny's Fury.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. One thing I forgot, the update to Monsters Cats, when could that be expected to go up for the survival and arcade?
So I guess that's Cameron's thing, right?
Yeah, actually, the plan is to have it update into certification by mid-August, which hopefully will be available for download in September.
Okay. If you don't mind, just give me an update whenever that finally goes up. That'd be great to play.
Yeah, we actually, I guess one thing we can talk about is that update. We've got, obviously, the arcade and the survival mode coming out. Survival mode's actually going to play a little bit different than the regular levels, the campaign, in a couple of regards. One, it's obviously it's a survival mode, but a couple of neat things about it. One, in Monster Cats in the campaign mode, the probing of the cats is kind of static and kind of easy to recognize and defeat. You know, the herds come in, there's a couple of probes that come in, and the herds don't really take advantage of that probe. In survival mode, the game character, the character engine, is actually going to look at your weaknesses, probe for your weaknesses, and basically send in herds based on your weaknesses. So you're going to have to really get good at skirmishing. I guess also the water sources are random.
I guess, since you're telling me all this, are there any hints and tricks that you guys know that most people don't?
Yeah, there are definitely some tricks. We'll probably start teasing those out online after the game launches. We're kind of interested to see if people will discover them for themselves. For example, on the Funhouse, there's a very specific tactical design, I guess, that we built into it, and we're really kind of interested if people will start to discover it. You know, once we start, I guess if nobody comes out and says they figured it out or anybody's having trouble, we'll probably tease out some ideas.
Okay, I'll look forward to that. Well, thank you all for your time. It was really a pleasure talking to you. It was really a pleasure to play the game, and I look forward to these next ones. Alien Art sounds like it'd be a lot of fun.
We'll definitely give you guys a heads up when it's ready to come out.
That'd be great.